Ollie was a boy from a small town. His life was simple: books, tea in the evening, and endless dreams. He had always believed love was something that happened to people in movies, not in his ordinary life. When Ollie got admission to a college in the city, his life changed. The city was fast, crowded, and noisy. Tall buildings made him feel small, and he often missed the peace of his hometown. But deep inside, he knew destiny had brought him here for a reason. It was a rainy afternoon when his story truly began. Clouds gathered above the campus, and students rushed for shelter. Ollie, without an umbrella, ran toward the library. As he pushed the heavy wooden door open, he collided with someone. Books fell onto the wet floor, pages scattering. A girl's frustrated voice cut through the sound of the rain. "Can't you watch where you're going?" she snapped. Ollie immediately bent down, picking up the books carefully. His voice was calm, almost apologetic. "I'm so sorry. The rain distracted me. I hope your books aren't damaged." The girl, still frowning, looked into his eyes. She was about to argue further, but something stopped her. His smile wasn't fake. It was warm, almost innocent. After a pause, she said softly, "My name is Sara." Ollie handed the books back, but one slipped again. As he bent to pick it up, a folded note slid out. Curious, he opened it. It read, "Happiness is real when shared." Ollie looked up at Sara, who quickly snatched the note back, blushing slightly. She didn't say anything, just turned and walked inside the library. But for Ollie, time froze. That single moment, the rain, her voice, her note, was etched into his heart. Something inside him whispered, "This girl will change your life." He stood under the dripping roof, staring at the cloudy sky, and whispered, "Maybe this is where my story begins." The rain had ended, but Ali's thoughts didn't. For days, he couldn't forget the girl from the library, Sara. Her voice echoed in his mind, and that little note about happiness felt like it was meant only for him. A week later, fate brought them face to face again. Ollie entered the library quietly, looking for a book on history. And there she was, sitting by the window, sunlight falling on her face, reading with complete focus. Ollie hesitated. Should he walk up to her, or would she get angry again? Before he could decide, Sara looked up and caught him staring. For a second, silence filled the space. Then she smiled, just a little, but enough to make Ali's heart race. "Still bumping into people?" she teased. Ollie laughed nervously. "Not today. Today I came prepared." He raised an umbrella he was holding. Sara giggled softly, and that small sound melted away the distance between them. From that day, their meetings became frequent. Sometimes in the library, sometimes in the cafeteria. Slowly, books turned into conversations, and conversations turned into laughter. Ollie learned that Sara loved writing. She kept a diary, filling it with poems and little dreams. He loved listening to her recite lines from memory, her voice filled with life. One evening, as they walked across the campus garden, Sara asked, "Ollie, what do you want from life?" Ollie thought for a moment and replied, "I just want to find someone who feels like home." Sara looked away, hiding her blush. "And if you find her, then," Ollie said softly, "I'll never let her go." Their friendship was no longer just friendship. Every smile, every conversation, every moment drew them closer. One night, Sara handed him her diary. "Here," she said, "read it, but don't laugh." Ollie opened it carefully. Inside were words that struck him like lightning. "Sometimes I feel like love is standing right in front of me, and I'm too scared to admit it." Ollie looked at her, his eyes wide. But Sara quickly snatched the diary back, laughing nervously. That's enough for today. For Ollie, it wasn't just a diary. It was a confession without words. He knew now, Sara wasn't just a friend. She was becoming his everything. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Ollie and Sara's bond grew like the steady flame of a candle, warm, bright, and unshaken by the winds around them. The campus became their little world. They walked together under the tall trees, studied late nights in the library, and shared tea at the small cafe across the street. Every little moment felt like it was stitched into the fabric of forever. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, Ollie and Sara sat on the rooftop of the college building. The city lights began to twinkle like stars. Sara rested her chin on her knees, looking at the glowing skyline. "Ollie," she whispered, "do you believe love can last forever?" Ollie turned to her, his eyes steady. "I don't just believe it, Sara. I want to prove it." Sara smiled, but her eyes carried a shadow of doubt. "People change, Ollie. Time changes. What if one day we—" Before she could finish, Ollie held her hand firmly. "Sara, if the whole world changes, my heart will still beat for you. That's my promise." Tears glistened in her eyes, but they were tears of joy. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and in that silence, both felt a forever they didn't need to explain. From then on, promises became part of their story. They promised to watch every first rain together. They promised to write letters, even if they saw each other daily. They promised to chase their dreams side by side. Ollie often said, "Sara, one day I'll take you to my hometown. I'll show you the fields, the river, and the stars you can never see in this crowded city." Sara laughed. "And I'll cook for your family, even though I can only make noodles." They built castles of dreams with words. But it wasn't just dreams. They made each other stronger. When Sara's poems didn't win the college competition, Ollie told her, "You don't need trophies. Your words already win hearts." When Ollie failed an exam, Sara stayed awake all night helping him study, whispering, "I believe in you more than you believe in yourself." Their love was not just romance. It was a friendship, a partnership, and a home. One rainy night, as thunder rolled in the distance, Sara held Ollie's hand and said, "Promise me, Ollie, no matter what happens, you'll never let me go." Ollie kissed her forehead gently. "Sara, even if the sky falls, even if the earth crumbles, I'll hold on to you, always." And that night, under the storm, they sealed a promise that would test them in ways they could never imagine. Life felt perfect for Ollie and Sara. They had dreams, laughter, and a bond so strong it felt unbreakable. But life, as it often does, had other plans. It began with something small. Sara often complained of feeling tired. At first, Ollie thought it was just college stress, long nights of studying, and her endless writing. But soon, the little things became harder for her. She would cough for minutes, hold her chest, or lose her breath while climbing stairs. One evening, Ollie noticed Sara sitting quietly on the bench near the garden, her face pale. He rushed to her side. "Sara, what's wrong?" She forced a smile. "Just a little tired, Ollie. Nothing serious." But Ollie wasn't convinced. He took her hand. It felt colder than usual. "Sara, promise me you'll see a doctor tomorrow." Reluctantly, she agreed. The next day, Ollie waited outside the hospital, pacing nervously. When Sara finally came out, her smile was forced, and her eyes avoided his. Ollie's heart sank. "Sara, what did they say?" She tried to brush it off. "It's nothing. Just some tests. Don't worry." But Ollie wasn't a fool. He saw the fear in her eyes. Days turned into weeks, and Sara grew weaker. Finally, she confessed. "Ollie, the doctors say I'm sick. Really sick. I don't have much time." The words felt like knives stabbing into Ollie's chest. He shook his head violently. "No, no, Sara. That's impossible. There must be treatment. We'll find the best doctors. We'll fight this." Sara placed her trembling hand on his cheek. "Ollie, sometimes life doesn't give us a choice." Tears streamed down Ollie's face. He couldn't accept it. How could the girl who filled his world with dreams suddenly have an ending written for her? But Sara, she was strangely calm. "Do you remember our promises?" she whispered. Ollie nodded, broken. "Then promise me one more thing," she said. "Promise me that when I'm gone, you won't stop living. You'll carry me in your words, in your memories, but you'll keep going." Ollie couldn't answer. He held her tightly, as if his embrace could protect her from fate. His voice cracked as he whispered, "Sara, don't talk like this. I can't imagine a world without you." Sara smiled through her tears. "That's the thing about love, Ollie. Even when one person leaves, love never dies." From that day, Ollie fought harder than ever. He took her to hospitals, prayed in mosques, searched for miracles. But deep inside, he knew time was slipping through his fingers. Every laugh, every smile, every touch of her hand now carried the weight of goodbye. The boy who once believed in forever now clung to the present, fearing every tomorrow. Sarah's illness worsened with each passing week. The girl who once filled libraries with laughter and poems now struggled to even hold a pen. Ali never left her side. He skipped classes, ignored his friends, and spent every waking moment with her. One cold evening, they sat together on the rooftop where they had once made promises under the stars. The city lights glittered below, but this time there was no laughter, only silence. Sarah leaned against Ali's shoulder, her voice faint. Ali, do you remember the first time we met? In the rain, you dropped my books. Ali smiled weakly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. How could I forget? That was the day my world changed forever. Sarah's lips curved into a fragile smile. I didn't know then that you would become my forever. Ali's chest tightened. He held her hand tightly, feeling how fragile it had become. You are my forever, Sarah. Nothing can change that. A tear rolled down her cheek. Promise me, Ali, when I'm gone, you won't lose yourself. Promise me you'll keep living. Ali shook his head, his voice breaking. I can't make that promise, because without you, there is no me. Sarah cupped his face with trembling fingers. Then live for me, Ali. Let me breathe through you. Let my words stay alive in your heart. Ali broke down, pulling her in his arms, whispering, Please, Sarah, don't leave me. But fate wasn't listening. A few days later, Sarah's condition became critical. She was admitted to the hospital. Machines beeped, doctors rushed, but Ali's world blurred into a nightmare. He sat beside her bed, clutching her hand as if letting go would mean losing everything. Sarah opened her eyes one last time. Her voice was barely a whisper. Ali, do you remember our promise? Even if the sky falls, you'll hold on to me. Ali nodded, tears streaming down his face. I remember. I'll never let you go, Sarah. Never. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. Then wait for me in the next life. But don't make me wait too long. And with those final words, her hand went limp in his. Ali froze. The machine screamed. Doctors rushed in. But for him, time had stopped. The love of his life, his best friend, his dream was gone. He fell to his knees, clutching her diary against his chest, crying out into the silence. Sarah, you can't leave me. You're my life, my promise, my everything. Days passed, but Ali was no longer the same. The campus, the library, the rooftop, all were haunted by her absence. He carried her diary everywhere, reading her poems over and over. One night, he sat under the same cloudy sky where their story had begun. Opening her diary, he read her last unfinished poem. Even if tomorrow never comes, I'll live in the memories we made today. And if love has an afterlife, I'll find you there and stay. Ali closed the diary, tears blurring his vision. He whispered into the wind, Sarah, this is my last promise. I'll carry your words, your love, your soul, until the day I see you again. Above him, the clouds parted for a moment, and the moon shone through, soft, pale, eternal, just like his love for her.